being here. I really appreciate that. What you've heard from the panel, I think pretty well, is everybody pretty well clear on what opportunity to learn means? It's the adequacy model. Jasmine was real clear on that. What we're talking about is what children need in terms of basics in order to have the opportunity to learn. So it's looking at the achievement gap and saying, well, there's a reason for that achievement gap. What opportunity to learn says is there is an opportunity gap that's preceded it. Children don't have the opportunities they need to achieve. It really does, all of this is made so complicated once it gets into the hands of adults and legislators. It's really quite simple. It's just what we've always known. Children can learn. They can all learn. They just need the opportunity to learn. So that's kind of the basis for all of this. The Institute for Wisconsin's Future formed an alliance with a group called the National Opportunity to Learn campaign, which is trying to change the discussion around the country to these opportunities, this opportunity gap. And the National Opportunity to Learn campaign has affiliates or partners throughout the country, one of which was the Institute for Wisconsin's Future. That's the group I actually work for. The Institute for Wisconsin's Future formed two other groups. One, the Opportunity to Learn Wisconsin. That's the group on the ground that has sponsored this activity to spread the gospel of opportunity to learn throughout Wisconsin. That's why we're here today. We're asking you to join with us as partners in a network, not as a coalition, not as members of anything, but just part of a network that's trying to change the discussion of public schools and education reform and school funding reform to be about kids and their opportunities. That's the purpose of this. But we've also taken on that same task and tried to take it to the Midwest. So Institute for Wisconsin's Future is the leader, the whatever it is, the head of the serpent called Opportunity to Learn Midwest, which includes Minnesota, Iowa, Illinois, and Michigan, and then Wisconsin. The same message, the same activities coming out of that group that comes out of Opportunity to Learn Wisconsin, that comes out of Opportunity to Learn in the national campaign. So the point then is, for us, we've had the discussion. That's a discussion, has been indicated here, that I think we've been having for 10 years. I've had it with probably a lot of the people in this room for 10 years. I know I've had it with the people up here for 10 years. And as Jasmine indicated, it's so often 2 steps backwards, every step forward we take. We're still having the same discussions. So I wrote, while I was sitting there, I wrote on my sheet, just do something. We need to do something finally and stop talking. So that's kind of been what the Institute for Wisconsin's Future, or Opportunity to Learn Wisconsin, has been trying to do for a long time. And I think, not working? Well, I'll let you start it over.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the way I've described it to myself is there's a continuum along which we're moving here. We want to get to a place that's been described where opportunity to learn drives education reform, where it's not driven by whether you're Democrat or Republican, or whether you want to slip money into a voucher program, or you want to privatize education, or about unions and boards and managers and employees. It's about the continuum that gets us to the point where education is based on opportunities to learn. That's where we want to get to. We aren't there. We're over here someplace. And what we need to do is we need to find these places along the way where we can actually do things that move us in that direction. We need to reform the way school funding is done in the state of Wisconsin. We need to reinvest resources. From our point of view, we need to stop the voucher program from expanding across the state of Wisconsin and taking more money out of public schools. And then it gets down to something maybe as infinitesimal. I think it was brought up by Bruce, the new testing regime that's going to be very computer-based. And my understanding, and I'm working with groups through DPI, that are actually making the case that the broadband capacity in the state of Wisconsin, most of the school districts in the state aren't even going to be able to administer the test they've now been mandated to take. What sense does that make? So in other words, the opportunity to learn doesn't exist for the kids. And then we haven't even gotten into the discussion about whether the test is any good. But we'll just set that one aside. So the point is, our mission has to be to talk about these resources, to talk about these opportunities, and to do things along that continuum that keep moving us in that direction. I've always said, if early childhood is so important, why do we only fund it at 0.5 or whatever it is? And if that's the case, why don't we fund it at 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, or 1? Or if it's that important, 1.2. Again, a public policy thing we could do along the way to that end goal. So what Opportunity to Learn Wisconsin has kind of staked out for itself a position where we're trying to bring this network together to have that discussion and to undertake these public policy changes. So we believe every school district in the state needs the resources. Okay, this for me is what makes me able to understand something that's really complicated. The whole point of my mission seems to be public schools need resources to give kids opportunities. It's that simple. And what Bruce is saying is his school district doesn't have the resources it needs to provide his children with the opportunity or the right they're guaranteed in the Constitution of the state of Wisconsin. Again, it seems that simple to me. So what we're saying is we need to adapt that, we need to reform this, it used to, remember equity, Julie? Then we moved to adequacy, now we're at rational, right? The school funding system has to be rational. It understands kids need opportunities, so you need a school funding system that provides the resources to school districts to get the opportunities to get it. That is what happens in the state of Wisconsin. We set up something to hold property taxes down and coincidentally funds public education. That's the funding system we have. So we need to change it. So that's one of the public policy goals we need to have. So toward that end, what has Opportunity to Learn Wisconsin done over the years? Just to give you an idea of things that are being done and hopefully things you might want to be part of. For one thing, I promise to come to your community and have this discussion, but to get there an hour early and have all of this set up ahead of time so we don't have to go through this.